U.S. presidential elections are effectively a massive popularity contest, and so the person who has the greatest appeal and connection to the American citizens, the best policies, they tend to win. The guy who is the most likable, like in 2008, the first half-black guy to run for president, was able to clock in 69 million votes. Yo, that's 10 million more votes than the Republican. So there you go. Absolute landslide. It's crazy to see Obama winning Indiana and Iowa and Ohio, which are ruby red states these days, but Barack Obama carried them in a landslide. That same half-black guy ran again, little less votes this time because the communism was peeking through like Michelle Obama getting out of a pool on a cold day. But hey, yo, we still won. And there you go. Historic. Here's the first angry white lady to run for president. She got 65 million votes. She ended up losing, though, because of a genius thing called the Electoral College, which rounds out the vote totals and says that each state is still going to be able to speak on behalf of their constituencies and can't be overrun by massive coastal cities like LA and New York. Our founders were genius for putting this in. Anyway, the point is that Donald Trump won this one. Still 65 million votes for Hillary Clinton. That's a lot of votes, man. It's a lot of votes. Kamala Harris was the first half-black lady to run for president. She got 75 million votes. Nobody believes this, though, because of all of the, there's no voter ID in any of the states that she won. Every single state, every blue state on this map has zero voter ID. So I'm not sure that anyone can believe this, but still, it's a lot of votes for what would be considered a historic candidate if you're watching CNN. And here's where things start getting really screwy. Because Barack Obama got 69 million votes in this historic election. He got 65 million votes in this historic election. Hillary Clinton got 65 million votes in this historic election. And Kamala Harris got 75 million votes in this historic election with, a lot on the line. There's a lot going on in 2024. It's a crazy election. But in 2020, they want us to believe that Joe Biden got 81 million. That Joe Biden blew out of the water the first half-black woman and man, and then angry Subaru-driving white woman to ever run for president. And I just don't buy that. I don't buy it. They told us, though, and they hung it around our necks and bang, like clang, clang, clang. They hit us in the head with it for years that Joe Biden's the most popular president in American history. And this is how they sold that to us. 81 million votes to Donald Trump's paltry 74 million. You can see Joe Biden just dominated President Trump here. We know this to be fake, and it's been proven fake time and time again. You can look at Joe Biden's approval ratings. You can look at, of course, the mean and how it reverted immediately after COVID was done and Democrats. There were more security and restrictions that were put in on our vote totals. And you can also see it in little exciting stories like this, where Jill Biden's new book that she's been out hawking because the Biden family is broke now, which is also why Hunter Biden is banging on X, and they're trotting Joe Biden out to do speeches, dinners, and things, if you can call them that. The Biden family is, again, hard up for cash, and they need to get in on the grift. And so Joe Biden has a new book. And you would expect that if her husband really got this many votes, that at least some of these people would buy Joe Biden's book, because it talks about the White House and everything like that. And all these 81 million people would really care about what was going on with this historic candidate that they all supported, right? Joe Biden's delusional book has sold just 20,000 copies 2 weeks in and languishes at 429 on Amazon. Nevertheless, the New York Times has The View from the East Wing at number one on its so-called bestseller list. Must be a slow week for book sales. Even with all the free publicity, Jill Biden's book has cratered. Her husband got 81 million votes. So this would be less than 1% of 1% of 1% of the votes that her husband got for president. All they'd have to do is buy her book. But that's not happening. Well, isn't that strange? Look at this. This from writers for Axios, roasting Jill Biden. Look at this. Jill Biden's memoir comes with the dreaded dagger, with the retailers reporting bulk orders. So what does that mean? This means, so there it is. This means that Jill Biden has rigged the system. A dagger indicates that some retailers report receiving bulk orders. This means that Jill Biden, and let me tell you what, I know exactly how this operation works because I have plenty of friends who's tried to sell their books. Jill Biden gets wealthy donors to go buy 20,000 copies of her book, right? You do a favor. Joe will go speak, or I'll go speak, or we'll endorse, or whatever, if you just buy 10,000 copies of my book. And that is a game that is played and played with regularity. And it's also a humiliation tactic, right? If nobody's buying your book, then it doesn't say very good things about the people that want to back you, back the Democrat Party. Obviously. Bulk sales, Jill Biden's memoir, View from the East Wing, debuted at number 1. However, its listing includes a dagger or an asterisk symbol indicating that some retailers reported massive bulk orders, which suggest organizations or political groups bought large quantities to boost the sale numbers. You have no idea how often this happens. And so it's like botting your chat or your channel, like paying for views. This is effectively what it is, but for boomers, for old people. So it's like if it's like for somebody who, this is like the old school way of botting your chat, right? To make it look like you're getting more views or more sales than you actually are. 81 million votes, most in history. Yeah. New York Times bestseller list, and editorial property, New York Times argued in court. It means that the much hollowed list doesn't actually tell you which book sold the best. It tells you which book the Times editor liked the best. Oh my, here we go. Amazon charts. Look at them. Look at that. Number 1 New York Times bestseller, right there, right at the very top. Included reading list by the New York Times. Wow. These are the stories that one must tell, and years when one must tell them. Jill Biden discusses her time at the White House. So I got a question for Jill Biden, which is, will you please tell us the story about when Joe Biden was trying to do an interview on MSNBC and crapped his pants? Is that in here? Because I might actually, download a copy and read it. You will remember this one time that in the middle of an interview, Joe Biden just crapped his pants on live TV. Will you tell us the time, Jill Biden, about the debate? And why do you say that Joe Biden was having a stroke at the debate? And then you immediately took him to Waffle House. And you immediately took him to a rally where everyone was waiting. Why is it that Joe Biden could barely even do a stare? Look at this. We have it on camera. Joe Biden could barely walk down the stairs after the debate. Why is it that you brought Joe Biden around like a lonely lost dog with rabies who was ready to be put down, and an obese guy in a wheelchair was beating Joe Biden off the ramp? One of my all-time favorite clips. Why you treated him in such a condescending, wicked little manner here? Always at the White House, always insulting him.
She's a teacher.
I'm the teacher,
Oh,
Okay, just stay.
so just sit. Don't move.
So,
She's a teacher.
I'm the teacher,
so embarrassing. She tells Joe just to shut up and sit down. Is that in the book? Of course not, because the whole thing is fake. The whole operation is in order to try and whitewash the truest probably evil that we've seen since Joe Biden's stolen election, which is Joe Biden's stolen presidency, which was run by Joe Biden, an absolute hatchet job in a clear-cut case of elder abuse that I think is criminal and should be investigated. And now Joe Biden continues to abuse her husband's whatever legacy there is, which is there is none, by going around and trying to monetize his barely warm corpse for clicks and views and book sales that are fake. About as fake as Joe Biden's election. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe.